Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and all of these questions are from our live show before Thursday Night Football on November 20th. And if you did not know, first off, this note down here, don't even look at that one. We're going to be going live an hour before kickoff on Sunday, and I hope everyone pulls up, man. Raiders, Browns, we're going to have more eyeballs on us than we've ever had before, I think, on a watch party because of the Shedeur Sanders factor. And a lot of the questions that you're going to see here on today's show are going to be around that game. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm feeling really good about this game on Sunday. Also, today that I'm recording is November 20th. It is my dad's birthday. So if you didn't join us when we were live, all I ask you to do right now, put an HBD down below. I think anybody that watches this show knows my dad's my guy, and I hope when I have a kid, daughter, son, they look at me the same way that I look at my dad. That's my best friend. Give him an HBD down below. He's also going to be there ready to rock and roll on Sunday. So let's go into the very first question coming up here on the Raiders Report. And again, these are all from loyal subscribers. These are all from loyal watchers on the program. Rich Wolf, I pray daily for Shefty to tweet, Pete and Chip are fired. Well, I'll say this, Rich Wolf. I recorded the video today on Thursday. It's going to go out on Friday, so if you're watching this mailbag and you didn't see the video that I'm talking about, you really, really, really need to go see what I'm saying because I didn't think it would be possible for Pete to get fired. I think it's a coin flip. I think if you got a coin in your pocket, call it in the air. That's the chances that it's going. And because I'm saying that, what I was told earlier this offseason, what I was told earlier this season, and what we are hearing now is so completely different that when there's smoke, there's fire. And there's a lot of smoke right now around the Raiders potentially moving on from Pete Carroll. But I would love to be able to move on from this whole shit show, man. Let's go to Rob, and you're next up here. Mitch, put a percentage on Pete getting fired. I feel like I can't say 50 again. So let's go with 51%. Like, I'm at this point in the offseason, and I'm probably going to say it a lot. I'm at the point in the season that I'm going to treat the season like the offseason. I'm done being a miserable Raiders fan, trying to wish for this Raiders regime to figure it out. I look at right now the situation that we're in, and I'm going to be a hopeful fan. And the number one thing that brings me hope is honestly moving on from Pete, moving on from Geno, moving on from Chip, moving on from Brennan Carroll. So because of that, I'll go 51% because that's what I'm hoping for. And I have a lot more fun in the offseason than I do the regular season, so I'm going to be that hopeful Raiders fan. Let's go to Shab. Who's going to be the next quarterback next year? It's a great question. Kenny Pickett's going to be a free agent, so I don't think he's going to end up returning. You have another year for Aiden O'Connell on that contract, and I'm really, really hoping that they just at least keep him as a backup. What's going to be interesting is the Geno Smith conversation. And I say that only because, and here's the issue with the Geno Smith conversation. The Raiders could cut him, and they would eat $18 million. So essentially it's like you're paying $18 million to not have Geno Smith, or you could pay $8 million and have him. Now, Geno might not want to return, and quite frankly, I don't think Geno is going to want to return to this team. Clearly doesn't like Raider fans, clearly isn't happy in Las Vegas, and I'll tell you this right now. Geno Smith, I can't stand you, and I can't wait until you're no longer the quarterback of this team. He is the opposite right now of what I feel like a Raider truly is. But, like, if you wanted to, my best guess at who I think the next Raiders quarterback is going to be, I'm hoping it's somebody in the draft. Like, I really, truly am. But then there is that part of me that sits back and I wonder if Geno Smith is going to be the starter next season. And it kind of goes like a whole Giant situation where it was Russell Wilson and then he ended up getting benched for Jackson Dart. That could be the case. It's really going to come down to where we're sitting in the draft because if we win some games, it could be Geno. If we lose the rest of the games, I hope it's Mendoza. Let's go to Eric Mitchell. Elite shirt there, Mitchell. Is Geno still the starter? Right now, at the time of recording this video? Yeah. And one of my scariest things that I'm thinking about, and it's probably like the number one reason there's hundreds of reasons why I want the Raiders to move on from Pete, but one of the biggest reasons why I want the Raiders to move on from Pete is the blind loyalty that Pete has shown Geno Smith. It scares me so much because there is a part of me that wonders if they keep Pete, if they keep Geno, and you look at the contract situation like I just discussed, the $18 million to the $8 million. I'm so concerned that the Raiders, Pete, wouldn't allow this organization to draft a quarterback, and we would be right in the exact same situation we were this past year. One of the biggest reasons why the Raiders did not draft Shedeur Sanders is because the Raiders wanted you to rally behind Geno Smith, and they didn't want to bring in distractions to a backup quarterback because they want us to rally behind Geno Smith. Well, I hate to break it to you. There's never been a quarterback on the Raiders that I dislike more than Geno Smith. There's never been a quarterback that I am more fed up and done with than Geno Smith. So I don't think that Geno is going to be able to save his time with the Raiders unless we're 2-8. The only way I'm going to root for Geno Smith to be back next season is if we're 9-8. And with this offensive line, it's not going to happen. So here's going to be my question, Eric. I love that you asked it. Will Geno Smith be on the team next season? Give me a yes. Give me a no. My answer is going to be coming up here after this YouTube ad break. I am going to sit up here and I'm going to say, I really hope not. The money tells me that Geno will be back, but if Pete Carroll is no longer the Raiders head coach, Geno Smith will not be on this roster. If Pete Carroll is still the head coach of the Raiders, Geno Smith will 100% still be on this roster. So guess what? I'm going to be that hopeful Raiders fan, and I am hoping, I am praying. I'm praying to a God that I don't believe in, that Geno Smith is no longer on this team next offseason. And I know I'm not the only one. What's up, Mount Rainamore Scheffler? The front office is the coldest staff, and everybody needs to get together about a total rebuild from top to bottom. I know the front office, and people might not believe me when I say this, I actually think we have one of the better front offices in the NFL from talent evaluators coming from, good organizations like Pittsburgh, Howie Roseman from Philadelphia, right? Like, we have a lot of very smart people in our front office. But the more and more people I talk to, the more and more reports that are going out there, it's the front office is going this way, and Pete Carroll and his guys are going this way. They're not in sync. And what really, truly needs to happen is John Spytek needs to go in and talk to Tom Brady, and Tom Brady needs to go in and talk to Mark Davis. It might even require somebody along the lines of Max Crosby as well. They need to go in and say, listen, what Pete Carroll is doing is impacting my reputation. And it is. Pete Carroll, his decisions are impacting John Spytek and this entire front office situation. When you see the reports out there from ESPN, Ian Rappaport, Jeremy Fowler, Albert Breer, it's literally everywhere. The front office is a lot more well-liked by Mark Davis than the coaching staff. What that front office needs to do, you got to put your nuts on the table. You might have to yell at some people, but you got to say, I'm calling the shots now. Like, what really needs to happen is, like in that movie, Captain Phillips, you need somebody to walk into Pete Carroll and go, I'm the captain now. It's coming up here next on the program. We got more questions to be able to get to, but if you don't already know, man, huge shout out to our sponsor, PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. If it's good for Marshawn Lynch, it's good for me too. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning that you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So if you wanted to go less on Geno Smith passing yards, less Geno Smith fantasy points, and more Geno Smith interceptions, you'd be able to do it. And quite frankly, hell man, you probably put some money in your pocket because the feeling of being right, that never gets old. And never gets old. You know what I think of when I hear that line every time? Pete Carroll. So, keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. So, I wanted to be able to show you guys my stack that I did for the Raiders and Browns game. I got Ashton Jeanty, less than 15.5 rush attempts because I don't think that this team wants to run the ball. I think they're like, can I throw the ball 100 times with Geno Smith? Probably should have went more on Geno pass attempts, quite frankly. Took the more on Jeanty, 16.5 receiving yards, and then 55.5 rush yards. I'm going to take the less. This offensive line against Myles Garrett and the Browns defense scares the hell out of me. Fantasy points. I went less. Geno Smith, 14. Shedeur Sanders, I did go less on the 20.5 rush yards, and I did go the more on the 0.5 interceptions. This is a $10 lineup, and I can win $80. I did go with the flex play. I did not go power play. And if you want to roll with that lineup, download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS, get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS, get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Let's go to my brother from another mother, Anthony Green. What can we do to improve the offensive line? How much do you weigh, Anthony? Is anybody here over 300 pounds? If anybody here is saying yes, then you could improve the offensive line. Maybe Geno Smith should play offensive line since he's out here blocking me and blocking everybody on social media. Now, in all honesty, what can we do to improve the offensive line? At this point, this season is a waste. It's a waste. So I think the best honest thing to do, even if it doesn't work right now, that's okay. The best thing that I think that we could do for this offensive line, let's give Caleb Rogers some reps. Let's just give him some reps, because if you're going to tell me that he's worse than Will Putnam, and, I got to give a shout out to my guy Marcus on Twitter. He was like, I watched the tape on Will Putnam, and he got beat 14 times. I tweeted at him, and I was like, that's the Pete Carroll Raiders for you. The best way that we can improve our offensive line is using the 2 third-rounders that we drafted this year. I just want to see Charles Grant get some reps in. I just want to see Caleb Rogers get some reps in. And if they lose right now, it is what it is. At least they're getting some reps to then put themselves in a better situation going into next season, because I would at least like to know what type of players we have in Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant and evaluate those 2 guys, because going into next season, you already got Colt Miller at your left tackle spot. I'm good there. You got JPJ, hopefully, at center. You're good there. But then that's 3 other spots that you're trying to figure out. So if we could at least take Rogers, Charles Grant, trim that down to maybe only 1 need on the offensive line, I think that that's how you improve the O-line. The other way is you fire Brandon Carroll, you fire Pete Carroll, you just get rid of Chip, and you just pack it in already. Darth! If Shedeur beats the Raiders, if Shedeur beats the Raiders, who is getting fired? Also, is this like the regular Darth, or is this a new Darth? If my guy, to me, if Shedeur beats the Raiders, the amount of attention that is going to go on the offense, and I mean like especially Geno Smith, because here's how I think about this question. I know I talked about this. I put out a video earlier on my social media, at Mitchell Renz 365, to check it out. But to me, if the Raiders lose to Shedeur Sanders, that's going to really piss off Mark Davis. And it's because Mark Davis paid Geno Smith the amount of money that he paid Geno Smith. And there were a lot of people that I talked to that they were interested in Shedeur. And there was a lot of off-the-field stuff that scared them away. But one of the biggest reasons why, again, they didn't go for Shedeur, because they wanted you to buy into Geno. And the other part of it, though, is if I'm Mark Davis, I'm going, well, wait a minute, I paid $60, $75 million for this guy. My fan base hates him, and he's losing to the guy, that Shedeur Sanders, that could bring me more money than anybody on the planet. Like, that's going to be a problem. So if Geno Smith, and if Mark's angry at Geno, Pete's not going to be angry at Geno. So I think the person that honestly takes the fall is Chip Kelly. My best guess, and I mean this when I say this, I honestly think if the Raiders lose to Shedeur Sanders and the Browns, Chip Kelly's going to get fired. And I think Chip Kelly's going to get fired because then you got the Chargers and the Broncos, 2 AFC West rivalries. 2 times that when the last time you played him, you scored 9 against the Chargers and you scored 7 against Denver. The only way that, again, Pete's going to be able to save his baby boy and Geno Smith is if they test out different options. Pete's not going to blame his son, Brennan. He's not going to blame his baby boy and Geno. He's going to point the finger at somebody. The only person you can point the finger at, if you're not going to point it at yourself, is Chip Kelly. It's not that Chip don't deserve it. He definitely deserves it. But to your question, I think Chip Kelly gets fired if the Raiders lose to the Browns this weekend. And I know I said I wouldn't root for the Raiders to lose. I will not root for the Raiders to lose. But if they do lose and Chip gets fired, holy shit, I hope y'all are ready to rock and roll. So here's my question. Somebody will get fired for the rest of this year. Like, there's going to be another coach that either leaves, that steps down. Fingers crossed, one retires. There will be another Raiders coach that gets fired this season because when you look at the remaining schedule, it's a gauntlet. And I don't know if this team's going to win another 2 games. My answer, Chip Kelly. But it's also because that's what the locker room wants. Let's go to 403 Pardo. Hopefully Myles Garrett retires Geno this Sunday. Dude, I actually feel bad for, like, there was a split second there where I was like, yeah. I don't want anybody to get hurt. what I would honestly want to happen for this to happen is Myles Garrett hits Geno so hard. Geno pops back up. He's okay, but he's like, man, I don't ever want to be sacked by Myles Garrett because I don't want that anaconda ever on me ever again. And if you haven't seen the picture, when you get sacked by Myles Garrett, you also get sacked. Literally, you also get sacked. Now, we got a lot of people tuning in right now, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Make sure you're ready to rock and roll this Sunday when the Raiders play the Browns. Let's go to Aaron. What are the chances Pete is with the Raiders next season? Yeah, man, we're like Pete, Geno. Again, I'll just say it like this. If I can give some good news, if I can give some hope, because that's what I'm trying to do. As a Raiders fan, I wake up every single day and I go, how can I give hope to this fan base? How can I give hope to myself as a Raiders fan? And my hopeful thinking is the chances of Pete being with the Raiders next season, I'll go 49%. The chances of Geno Smith being with the Raiders next season, 49%. It's really going to come down to them, I think, being a package deal. But because of certain things that are happening right now, again, for where the conversation was a few months ago to where the conversation is now, there are so many conversations that are happening in that front office. So many conversations that are important to Mark Davis. Because there's one guy in Mark's ear, and I know who that person is. And they have a lot to say. And that person will pick John Spytek over Pete Carroll every single day of the week and twice again on Sunday. Now, if you do not know, you can always hit me up on Instagram. You can always hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. And I mean this when I say this. I'm going to be a hopeful Raiders fan. We're going to get through this season together. It's going to take all of us. But win, lose, or tie, I promise you this. Raider Nation till I die.